Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to Testing Ground. Today we're preparing another round of outrageous experiments. This episode, we'll be outfitting some MS-1 shots for some skillful sniping tests, attempting some serious airtime after launching over Swedish tank destroyers, and gathering an army of French lights to sumo wrestle a mouse. See if you can guess the results. You might have seen our previous Swedish tank destroyers as ramps experiment, and some viewer comments suggested adding multiple vehicles to create the perfect incline. Let's test it out and see how it goes. Our test participants today are the French EBR-105 and the Swedish UDIS-03. We'll take the Swedish vehicles and delicately arrange them for our makeshift ramp, with several mouses lined up to measure the distance. Without further ado, let's fire up a couple of EBR-105s and start the test. On the first jump, we cleared a distance around 7 mouses. One mouse is around 9 meters long, so we'll add a bit of distance in order to compensate for any inaccuracies. Doing the math reveals our first attempt cleared just over 60 meters. Not bad, but we can do better. On the second attempt, the French light tank flew past that record with flying colors. On to the next experiment. If you're an avid tanker, you're well aware of the Maus, which is, without question, the heaviest of heavy tanks in the game. The Maus is 200 tons of German steel on tracks, while the EBR-105 is as light as a feather. So, can a flock of French light tanks move an impenetrable fortress? On to the test. We chose the bridge on the Berlin map for our experiment. After we position the mouse across the bridge, our fleet of 12 EBRs lines up to begin the test. We'll start with 3 EBRs and see how it goes. Let's begin. Our 3 tanks charge forward, and the verdict is no good. The mouse doesn't budge. Send in 3 more. With 6 tanks, we get the same result as before. So, let's add 3 more. 9 EBRs total. And with 9 light tanks muscling forward with everything they've got, the mouse finally moves. Now, let's spice things up. What happens when the EBR army goes face-to-face with the mouse? Begin the sumo match. We like to think big, so we assembled 59 French tanks for this test. On paper, this should be a lopsided match. 42,000 combined horsepower against 1,700. That ought to be enough to send the mouse straight into orbit. Take a second to write down who you think wins this sumo battle. That was a nail-biter. The EBRs started out strong and maintained a heavy lead, until suddenly, the mouse fights back and breaks through the wall of light tanks. The German heavy wins with an impressive come-from-behind victory. For our next experiment, let's say you have a friend who boasts about taking down several mouses with just one shot. That sounds crazy, right? Let's find out. We have a lot of experience blowing up a mouse's ammo racks, so let's start there. Now we'll situate one of them on the edge of the bridge so its turret faces straight down when the ammo rack explodes. Then, we'll place the other mouses under the bridge and beat them up a little bit to lower their HP. With everything in place, let's start the countdown. 3, 2, 1, fire. On our first try, we snagged 3 mouses in just one shot. Pretty good marksmanship. But let's add even more heavies to the mix and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, fire. The second shot took down even more tanks than the first one. Pretty cool. And remember, never ever bully low-tier vehicles. That's it for this episode of Testing Ground. If you have any other ideas or scenarios you'd like us to test, leave a comment below. And make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be instantly notified of the next Testing Ground.